Welcome to the King and Chapman Show. It is Friday, May 31st. I am Rick James, and now, Jimmy, I am covering the bottom of this shirt because this is a family show.
I love it.
But it is. There it is. That is Dave Chappelle is Rick James.
I love it. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, B. That's a great shirt to one of the.
This is what we do on the King and Chapman Show. We tease previous shows. So you got to go back and watch our last show where we talked about Dave Chappelle and Prince.
That's
so
right.
Now, Jimmy, I don't want to mess up our normal rhythm. So I'm going to do that again. I am Brent Chapman. And with me from Detroit, Michigan, the original Jimmy King.
What up, B? Since I'm in Detroit, what up, though, B? What's happening?
What up?
I love it. How you doing today?
Good. I'm doing great. We really got clunky there with the Rick James.
Everyone knows that was awesome. I love that. That's a great looking shirt. I need one, my brother. Wherever you got to send me the link, because I got to get one for myself. I'll wear it everywhere. And since you won't say it, and I know it's a family show, I will. Rick James, bitch. And I feel that because I got on my Tupac. So we repping music today, the music industry.
Tupac is, we'll get into that a little later, but I want to jump right into basketball, Jimmy, and talk about the Boston Celtics. It's done. It's a sweep. It's not a gentleman's sweep. It's not a Jimmy King sweep. It's a sweep sweep. It's a 4-0 sweep. They're done. They rolled right through the Pacers to the to the NBA Finals. I do have a neat little point for you. This is the most playoff games by a duo prior to winning a title with Tatum and Jaylen Brown. The other was Jason Terry and the Maverick and Dirk Nowitzki with the Mavericks. Mm-hmm. So could this be their year, Jimmy? Are they the best in the East? Are they now ready to win it all, Jimmy? Is this their year?
It could be their year. I don't know if it is their year.
You can't say. You have got to draw a line in the sand.
I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
And I'm about to tell you. I'm about to draw the line. Here's the line. This could be their year, and probably should be their year for them building up to this point for the last 6 to 7 years. Jason Tatum has always been great. Jaylen Brown has been stepping up, getting better each year and every game. But I just think that the Dallas Mavericks got something special, even more special this year.
Ooh.
I think they got a great mix of veterans and young players. And I think they got a great coach in Jason Kidd who has finally figured out how to get a great rotation down and get guys to trust other players, including Luka Doncic, who knows that he could put the ball through the hoop, but now trusting his other players and consequently upping his assists. So that being said, I don't know. It's a tall order. I think, it's all about matchups anyway. And I think that Dallas has a better team than the Celtics.
All right. Well, Jimmy, I'm gonna answer this. Was the East easy, or the Celtics ready to win the championship? Yes. I'm gonna say the East was pee poor this year, Jimmy. It was not good.
It's not as strong as the West for sure.
You had an injured Jimmy, like, dude, they had the softest playoff run in the history of soft playoff runs.
Sometimes it's what it
Jimmy
takes.
Butler got hurt, and Embiid went down, Drew Holiday went down,
Halliburton.
Giannis went down, Halliburton went down. Basically, every series they played, the other team's best players were out. It was a joke.
Sometimes
No,
you need karma. Sometimes you need a little luck,
I
right?
have
They,
been
they've been taking their beatings.
I have been very consistent about this. All four of the teams in the last four of the West, the Nuggets, the Thunder, the Wolves, and the Mavs, would beat the Celtics in the final. The Celtics are the fifth best team in the league, and they will lose to the Mavs in the finals. And that is so. But Jimmy, moving on to talking about the Celtics a little bit more is Jaylen Brown. So they clinch, and Jaylen Brown wins the conference, the AFC East. What do they call that?
Conference
The the
MVP.
conference player of the. He wins the conference player award for the best
Mhm.
player in the AFC or AFC, wrong sport, in the NBA East Conference
Eastern
Finals.
Conference
The
Final.
Eastern Conference Finals. He won the award, and he led all scorers with 29 points in that last game, and he's dominated. But most importantly, and I think what probably won him the award was that game one shot at the end, the three to send it to overtime was one of the best shots I've seen in a very long time that I can remember. Was just a great shot. He averaged 29.8 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and shot 51.7% from the floor. So he definitely was the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. But Jimmy, do you think right now that Jaylen Brown is the best player on the Celtics? Oof. Oh, Jimmy. Oh,
Yes.
Jimmy, there's a question for you.
And the answer is yes. And I
Oh,
give him the edge over JT because I think that he plays both sides. Not that JT doesn't, but I think he is a more adept defender than JT. So for that, I give him the nod. When we talk about guys who impact the game, um, me personally, I like guys who play both ends. I like guys who can impact the game defensively, and I like guys who can get their shots off and break defenses down. Conversely, so at this point, yes, Jaylen Brown is playing the best basketball. I believe that he is the better player over Jason Tatum right now, definitively, as he wins the Eastern Conference MVP.
yeah, I think Jason Tatum is slowed down a little bit. Jalen is kind of rising. Tatum's
Mm-hmm.
kind of
On
fading
a
a little bit. I
different
mean,
trajectory. Yeah.
he's still a good player, but I would actually agree that I think Jaylen Brown is playing the best basketball right now. I still think Jason Tatum is the best player
Is the
on the
best
Celtics.
player.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you could take that from him, but definitely JB is playing the best basketball. But I want to talk about the team that they swept, the Pacers. So with that final loss, 105 to 102, they're down. Now, Jimmy, previous year they finished 11th, and then now this year they finished 6th. They went on a run. They beat the 2 seed. They made the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, what do you think? Is this a promising future ahead, or was this kind of like a lucky 1 year run? What do you got?
No, I think that it's always levels, it's always steps. It's the same thing with the Boston Celtics. Again, I think they've worked their way up to this point. However, I think they're running into a team that's just designed to beat them, and is at this point a better team. So as everybody ends their year, the Indiana Pacers are sitting home watching everybody else. They're looking at the things they could have done, should have done, and looking for other players throughout the league, through the draft, overseas that can help them get them over that hump. So yes, I think they're in the right trajectory, going from 11th to 6th, and then who knows? Next year they might be a top 4, top 3 team. If they do the things they need to do in the offseason to upgrade their team.
I would, Jimmy, say that this was a lucky run. If I had not seen Rick Carlisle do this twice before. Twice before.
That's right.
He took teams that were underrated and undersized and not the favorites and not the big threes and the big fours and the big 11s or whatever they call these different teams. He took these teams and he won two other championships. One with the Pistons, and no name Pistons, by the way, was the nickname, and the Dallas Mavericks with a prime Dirk Nowitzki and a very nonchalant pedestrian sort of backup cast, right? So
Jason Terry was tough that series.
he was good that season, but again, that's what Rick Carlisle does.
No doubt.
So do I think they have a promising future? Yes, I do, because they have Rick Carlisle. And I think that even though I don't think the Pacers roster is very good, I think that Rick Carlisle will figure out a way to get that team to perform at a high level and make the moves needed for them to perform at a high level, which moves us right nicely into the next topic about Tyrese Halliburton. So he was all NBA third team this year, Jimmy, and he missed the final two games of the series against the Celtics, which basically was the end for the Pacers. There was no way they were gonna beat him. But in 15 postseason games, he had 18.7 points, 4.8 rebounds, 8.2 steals, and with about 34 minutes a game. All right. So he increased his averages from during the season, and he just played really well, and he led them to the Eastern Conference Finals, taking all the injuries and everything out of it. He led them to the Eastern Conference Finals. So my question for you, Jimmy, is, do you think that Tyrese Halliburton is the one, is the guy to lead the Pacers forward, and they just need to put guys around him? Or do you think they need to bring the guy in that Halliburton supports? Where are you at on this?
I think he's proven that he's a leader. We didn't get a chance to really see him close it out this year due to injury, and so yes, I do believe that he's on the right trajectory to be the leader, the definitive leader for the Indiana Pacers. I do believe they need other players around him. Um, maybe another scorer, another wing, opposite wing, kind of like JT and Jaylen Brown. Guys that are similar, but a little difference in size, but also can give you that you know 1-2 punch that a lot of the guys or NBA analysts talk about that these guys bring. So with Rick Carlisle, the Pacers, they've been there many times before. Eastern Conference Finals. I believe that the organization, especially with Rick, knows what they need. They listen to their coach. He's with them every day. Like you said, his track record speaks for itself, and I believe they will make those adjustments. And but again, like that's why your scouting team is important. Your head scout and your the people who evaluate the talent, because while the series was going on, they were probably got guys in their mind. Okay, who's coming up for free agent? Who is somebody that we could use that can help us, clear the rebounds and get us out even faster in transition. Who is the other guy? Who's our other guy that we could pair up with Tyrese Halliburton that can free him up even more, and to your point, make him better, or other guys can feed off him, which makes the team better. So hopefully they got that in place. And like you said, I believe they got the right personnel in the front office.
Now, I'm going to give you an answer that contradicts yours, and then I'm going to, again, as my son would say, glaze Rick Carlisle a little bit more. So, so I would say that Halliburton is not the guy, and they need to bring in somebody better than him, whether that's a 3 or a 4, somebody that can really be the guy and he complements and supports that guy. With Rick Carlisle being the coach, I think if they were to bring in a Tyrese Maxey or a OG Anunoby from the Knicks, right, and pair him with somebody that can score a lot of points and really be that other guy, not a star above him, like not a Kyrie or a Luka or somebody, but
What
somebody
about
that's
what about
on
a
his.
what about
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah, a Donovan Mitchell. He would be probably a step up, but yes, bringing in another guy like that, I think the guys I just mentioned who are free agents, Donovan Mitchell isn't a free agent, but he could be traded. But the guys I mentioned are free agents. And, Rick Carlisle could bring in some guys like them, give him a little bit more power. Now, Siakam is a free agent. So they'll have to figure out if they want to keep him, if they want to bring somebody else
You got
in.
to keep him.
Yeah. So
They have to make him a priority.
he
Guys
definitely
like that
adds.
don't grow on the tree. Like, he's selfless. He goes about his business. You don't hear anything about him causing any problems in the locker room, off the court. He plays hard. People respect him. You got to keep that guy.
Well, Jimmy, I completely agree with you, but we'll see what they do. I think it's an interesting conversation, but I want to move around. We've done some basketball. Now we're going to finish the show off with a couple of different sports. We're going to start with lacrosse.
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse. We're going men's lacrosse, NCAA men's
So let's
lacrosse.
go.
So Notre Dame went 16-1 and won its second title in a row, back to back repeats. They were led by brothers Chris and Pat Kavanaugh. Chris had 5 goals in the championship game, and Pat had 6 assists.
Wow.
And Notre Dame defeated Maryland handedly, Jimmy, 15-5 in the NCAA men's lacrosse championship. Now, Jimmy, do you think that they can three-peat without the brothers and come back and get another championship next year?
I would say no, because that's really hard to, unless you have guys that are to that caliber or level of play, coming in or already there. No, it's hard to. I mean, 5 goals, 6 assists in a game, like that's astronomical. That's ridiculous.
He had more goals than the other team scored the whole game.
Right? The whole game. So that's hard to, kind of catch that magic again and reproduce that production at that level. So without knowing too much about lacrosse, other than some of our basketball greats played lacrosse, some football. Will Chamberlain played lacrosse.
That's right.
He was a good lacrosse player. Jim, oh my God, I can't. The football player for the Browns, all-time great, played lacrosse at Syracuse. Jim Brown.
Yeah, he did. That's right.
So it's a great sport, but doesn't get a lot of airtime. So I'm glad that we are talking about it today. But
it is actually, Jimmy, you would be surprised. It is actually one of those sports that is gaining in popularity quite significantly, especially at the youth level. Mm-hmm. And I think that you'll find in our area where Texas or where football and basketball are king, lacrosse programs are growing as well. So it is definitely, and it's an opportunity for kids. You see this a lot where, top football players end up transitioning to lacrosse, converting over to lacrosse, and going and getting D1 scholarships because they're great athletes. But football is so competitive that you can go play lacrosse, get that scholarship, get that opportunity, go to a great school, and compete in these competitions. Now, Jimmy, I'm going to say this about the three-peat. It has only happened 3 times in the history of the NCAA men's lacrosse division. Syracuse did it in 88 through 90. Princeton did it 96 to 98. And Johns Hopkins University did it from 78 to 80. So I'm going to take those odds and the fact that the brothers are graduating and say that Notre Dame is not going to three-peat.
I thought you was going with they were.
I was not. I am not. I am not. I fooled you.
But that's great for the city of South Bend, my hometown. I know it's a great sports town, and I know they get a lot of support there as well. So
you know what I say about your hometown, Jimmy? I don't want to steal any words from Rick James, but F your couch, Jimmy King. Your couch,
you know what?
Jimmy
That's
King.
not becoming, B. Don't be a hater because we're great, because we're good at football, basketball, and even lacrosse.
I had to
the
do
ships back to the Bend, SBI.
I needed one Rick James quote.
And that's the best one of all time.
Yeah, it is. So moving along
or
to
that one, or F your couch.
No, that's what I'm saying. F your couch. No, you're thinking of when he said cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. But when he was on Eddie's couch with muddy shoes on.
Yeah,
that's how right. He and his brother, Eddie's brother, got into it.
What do the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap! Oh, well, if you guys want references, pull up Dave Chappelle's show. There's not many episodes.
Yeah, B.
Let's move along to Ronaldo. Ronaldo, Jimmy, very interestingly enough, scored the most goals in the Saudi Arabia. I think it's the Saudi and Arabian League this year. I actually don't. My note here was deleted, but he led the league.
The Saudi Pro League.
What?
Saudi Pro League.
I'm sorry.
The Saudi Pro League.
Yeah. So he joined the Saudi Pro League and he broke their scoring records. So looking at this, the guy, no matter what he does, is just unbelievable. And he's been playing a extended period of time, right? So my question, Jimmy, is Ronaldo the most accomplished player ever? Now, before you answer that, I'm going to answer it first. Usually I let you go first and then I answer. But I played soccer in high school, Jimmy.
All right.
When you were playing and messing around with an orange ball, I was playing a man's sport.
Where the original flop came from.
Football. In Rochester Hills, Michigan. That's right. Shout out to Hills. The Hills.
The Hills.
Okay, so to me, this argument comes down to 3 players. Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, and Pele. All right? Those are the 3 greatest players of all time. They all won Player of the Year multiple times. They all won Champions League titles. They did not all win World Cups. Messi and Pele won World Cups. Ronaldo did not, but to be fair, he played for Portugal. All right, so I'm not sure that would ever have happened. But Ronaldo has the most international goals in the history of men's international soccer. So, Jimmy, I'm going to go ahead and say I still am going to go with Pele as the greatest soccer player ever, because what he accomplished when he accomplished it will never be topped, right? But Messi and Ronaldo, I'm glad that we've been able to live through them and watch them play at the greatest level. And I think I would even pick Messi over Ronaldo just because he won the championship in a battle with Thierry Henry, and it was amazing, and it was so great. But who do you got, Jimmy? Do you think Ronaldo is the most accomplished player ever? So I guess I got him 3rd, Jimmy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. With the background of soccer, I too played soccer, but only up until I was maybe 4th grade. I think 4th grade. fourth, fifth grade was it for me. Then I started transitioning to other sports. But I love the game because it taught me that if you could dribble with your feet, you could easily dribble with your hands. So
That's
I
right.
give the game of soccer, right? My first love, one of my first loves, to help me be successful in basketball. But also, to answer the question, I would say Pele too, but for a different reason. Um, he is the one that really got me involved in the game. Watching him, hearing about him, reading about him. He is the first person I did a book report on in school. It was on Pele. So that's how I came to know him as probably the best player in the world. And when Messi and Ronaldo came along, I was far removed away from the sport. I do appreciate and I have seen what they've done, but I have to give it to my childhood hero, Pele.
Two Pelés. I do have I have a, what do you call that? Like a runner up or sort of like a dark horse. I have a
Dark
dark
horse.
horse I'd like to throw in. I think my favorite player of all time is Diego Maradona.
Okay.
And
Okay.
in the words of Rick James, cocaine is a hell of a drug. But there was nobody that played with the flair and the hand of God. Like scoring a goal with his hand is just legendary, right? I mean, Maradona is definitely the most character, like the best soccer character of all
Mhm,
time.
mhm.
Definitely. And a great player, too.
I can
Uh,
get that. And that's
Jimmy,
important. You got to have personality in the game. You got to have guys that, that stretch the boundaries, but they also attract people who are casual,
yeah.
right? That that are other fans of other sports, but they'll turn to the sport just to watch someone who's extravagant or flamboyant, like a Dennis Rodman, for the NBA, guys that do things that may be eccentric or a little quirky, but they still great basketball players or great soccer players and do great wonders for the game themselves.
Jimmy, that is it for today's show. Do you have any final thoughts? Give us your last word, Mr. Jimmy King.
Last word. I believe that Jay, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are very similar when you look at them and you look at them on paper, you watch the games, you just casually watch them. But if you really delve down into both sides of the ball, I give Jaylen Brown the edge as being a better player.
My final word, Jimmy, is you know this, but the listeners probably don't. I read a lot of books. And when I say read, I mean audible because I drive a little bit. And so I probably consume about 50 books a year. And I recently, and I'd say probably in the last 10 books, read Tupac's autobiography. And I bring this up because Jimmy is wearing a Tupac t shirt.
Two pot.
Now, Tupac's autobiography, which was recently released, I think in the last, year, 6 months or whatever, right? It's new. Was written by a childhood friend of his, or knew him when he was a teenager, and was asked by the family when he passed away to write a autobiography about him then. And so she in a movie or something. So she spent 2 years, and at the time she was a nobody. She was like 20 years old. She didn't have any writing credentials. And so she did all the research for this book. And then they told her, hey, we don't want to proceed with the project. So she tabled it, put it away. And then she went on to have a successful career as a writer, Rolling Stone, etc. Very successful. And then now the estate, the family has said, we want you to write the book.
Mm-hmm.
So she pulled out the notes
Mm-hmm.
from 25, 30 years ago, along with interviews and stuff that she did today. And I think that's what makes it really special. Is it's not somebody looking back on and talking to people about it today.
Mm-hmm.
She did 2 years of research then and then did it now and put it in together. And it is a fantastic book. If you're interested in any of that sort of pop culture, um, there's so many dimensions to Tupac.
Yes.
He was not a gangster.
Right.
He was an actor.
Mm-hmm.
He was a theatrical guy.
Mm-hmm.
He, Jimmy and I were talking, he was part of Digital Underground. He was so much more. He would have been a great actor. He was in a movie. He was friends with Jada Pinkett. He was a very dynamic human being, and probably much more than what people label him for. And he unfortunately didn't live very long, but he left some great music behind and a great story behind. So that's my last word, Jimmy. Thanks for wearing the shirt.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Way to represent Pac. Yeah, give him his
right.
love. That's a beautiful, story. Like, and I'm gonna have to check that book out, especially if it's Audible. I do like
Audible.
to read
You
too,
can just listen to it.
but Audible is easy. We could just ride through it. But yeah, I'm very fond of Tupac. I know he started with Digital Underground. He's a roadie, all of that, and he worked his way up. That just shows the kind of work ethic that he had.
Well, Jimmy, that's it for tonight's show. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Jimmy. Peace.
Thank you. Peace.